1.4.3a, we're doing the second forms of the C, A, G, E, D chords, which were covered in 1.4.1, the first forms. And we're using all of the fretting hand techniques that we learned initially from there. And we're now incorporating the picking, single note picking technique that we learned just recently in 1.7.1. So we're going to be incorporating both the picking hand and the fretting hand techniques, which we haven't done yet. So all of the things are the same as far as these photographs, keeping the thumb arched, keeping the palm of the hand off the neck, keeping the top knuckle of the fingers bent so that way the fingertip hits the note rather than the fingerprint. And just take a look in this video. We're going to be doing our second form C chord, and I'm going to go through it with you here. Okay, see how I have the middle finger on string 4, fret 2, the index finger on string 2, fret 1. The top knuckles are bent, so the fingertips are hitting the note. See how there's a gap between the neck? My fingers are not dragging across the neck. My thumb's arched. See that gap between the hand and the neck? There's no skin of the fingers hitting the neck. The top knuckles are bent, so the fingertips hit the note rather than the fingerprint. There's our diagram for that C chord. You might want to pause the video, get it under your fingers, and then here pick each note individually, get each note to ring out into each other, just like we studied in 1.4.1. You can do this out of time just to get it down, get all the tones right, and then focus on putting it in time next. One thing I left out on that last part where I strummed those 3 strings at once, I did explain it previously, but we haven't covered in a while. Whenever you see in tablature or formal musical notation where there's notes stacked on top of one another rather than written one after the other, that means to strike all of those notes at once, as in strumming. So that's what that means. Okay, so here is our second form A chord. There's a couple different ways that people do this depending on their hands. I prefer this first one, and here is the second one here, this form here. So again, whatever it takes, as long as you get all the notes to ring out into each other in these exercises. So using this drill here, you can pause the video, get it the best you can technique-wise, and I'm going to go through the technique of this A chord with you right now. There's the finger stacked. Notice the knuckles are bent. The top knuckles are bent, so the fingertips hit the note. The hand is off the neck. There's a gap between the neck and my fingers. My thumb's arched. It could be arched a little better. Let me adjust that for you. There we go. There's that thumb arch. Gap between the neck and the hand. Top knuckles bent. And go ahead and warm up right here. You can pause the video, just get this warmed up, and then we're going to put everything in time. All right, so the trick with the C chord is nothing. Actually, it's just all open strings. It's just how it works out with these forms, so we're kind of getting a break. But the main thing is you want to keep your thumb on the neck and arched, just like you did all the other chords. So although we're not using our fingers of our fretting hand, we're still keeping the thumb on the neck. So the thumb never leaves the neck when you're playing guitar. It stays there constantly. So that's all you're going to focus on as far as the fretting hand is concerned. And then all of the picking conventions that we learned in 1.7.1 will come into play. All notes ringing out nice, loud, and clear. And you'll get to hear these open strings, how they ring out into each other as open, clear as a bell. You really want to get all of your fretted notes to sound as close to that ringing open string sound as you can in shaping your tones. So focus on that. And here we go. All right. So we're going to jump into this E chord here. And we're using the ring finger on string 4, index on string 3. Look at those top knuckles bent. See how the finger and the part of the palm of the hand is not touching the guitar, that gap, thumbs arched. Caught that gap. We got our fingertips hitting the strings rather than our fingerprints, top knuckles bent, all that good stuff. And we're going to do our D chord here. This form is already pretty much covered. We're just playing strings 4, 3, and 2 of it. This time we're just incorporating string 4 open, which is the different part from what we learned in 1.4.1. We're not using our middle finger on the first string. We're just using the index and the ring, and we're only playing on strings 4, 3, and 2. So there's nothing fancy with this one. And we're just going to go ahead and motor right through it. For further practice of these chords for extended backing tracks, so you can really nail this, will be 1.4.3b, and that will be for a donation on the Patreon site linked below in the description. Have a great one.